based on RISC architecture. Why? Because of RISC architecture is because we have a lot of example. Let us explain you one single example for that. The example is we have a two mechanism for purchasing our clothes. One is for ready-made and second is your stitching. So what we normally do in online is we just prepare a ready-made because it is already stitched. So why? Because we prefer ready-made is because it is already stitched. The time consumption normally decreases. In sense, the speed increases. So my dear friends, this is an example of RISC architecture. So this is a best example of your RISC architecture. So what we do in the RISC architecture is we do instruction first, and from the instruction we do the architecture. So I'll design a 10 instructions. Based on the 10 instructions, I'll design the architecture. So which results in the high speed computation. So there is another category that is CISC. It's a quite vice versa condition. That is, I'll design the architecture and then I will reflect the instructions. So all the things will be reflected on my instruction set map. So now we have to concentrate on that. It is a power consumption is very high. That is, sorry, the speed is very high. Why? Because we design the instruction and then architecture. So RISC. And second thing is about like since it is based on the instruction or instruction made architecture, every instruction will take only single cycle. It will take only single cycle instructions. And you don't have a multiple cycle. So since speed is fast. Third thing is about this is the most important criteria when you do the programming. Everything is register based. So everything is register based. When you want to have the register, when you are thorough with the registers, you can do the program and you can implement on the board. So everything is register based coding. So this is what we have to take care about, the three important features of a RISC architecture. One is it is a high speed computation, and second thing is about you can go for single cycle, and third thing is about we can have register based programming. So since it is a register based programming, you should know about the registers, and that registers, when you substitute some values over there, then it finds the application. So this is what the logic which we come across in the RISC architecture. And what are all the RISC architectures nowadays? We explain you that Arduino, Node MCU, and every embedded system, such as 99% of all your processors belongs to RISC. There is no kind of a CISC case of a PowerPC. So you have the 99% of all the boards are the RISC architectures, and all the things will find an application in IoT. These are all the things which finds an application in the IoT sector. So this is what the one kind of a thing. Second, we just have a look up ARM Cortex. We talked more about this NVIDIA Jetson Nano and everything. So that is another category which we have OS and everything. This doesn't require OS, just a direct programming on the sector. This one. Now, what we are going to do is why we chose an Arduino. Before, this is the first what we come across in the programming. Second thing, when you come across the programming sector, you must aware about what are all the hardware and the peripherals which is supported, in which what kind of applications you can design. So let me conduct with the Arduino. So Arduino board is something, or a Node MCU, whatever the case. It's an 8-bit microcontrollers. It is an 8-bit microcontrollers which is normally utilized for doing a program. What are the peripherals which has? First thing is about serial port. So the normal thing is about it has UART. That is universal synchronous receiver and transmitter. What is it all about? Why it is being utilized? Mainly understand the concepts. Whenever you design any WSN bar IoT nodes, right? Whenever you want to design any WSN bar IoT nodes, you have a lot of nodes like OSB. So you have Skype. These are all the boards which are available, which is being utilized in WSN assisted IoT devices. You can build up your own this kind of applications for getting the data and to gathering the data. What you can do is this serial port comes into the picture. So serial port, what happens here? It is have two pins, TXD and RXD. So every peripheral with this TXD RXD, you can connect any kind of wireless transceivers. So IoT transceiver, generally we can talk about, it has been connected with the IoT transceivers. It is connected with IoT kind of a transceiver. So what is the block diagram you will get here is any sensor board, and it will be connected with the type of your what we call as Arduino board, and with the serial port it is being connected with the OT transceivers. Very simple. Now my board is ready for getting the data. So second thing is about it should be powered with a battery. So it is the next thing is you have to come across here is we have to care about 5-volt supply, right? So it is a 5-volt supply, so battery can be given over here. So what you can do is, so the battery can be connected over here, sensors, what you want to connect with Arduino, and the serial port, you can connect it with IoT transceivers, what we discussed in the previous session. So you can connect it and you can format a new node for connecting the data. This is one kind. We must have the serial port. You know what is an application is. Second thing is about ADC channels. So ADC channels are required for understanding these concepts. Before that, what is UART? I just want to explain you what is UART is. It is majorly utilized for. Then we have to design the program for this. UART is this universal asynchronous receiver and transmitter mode. So what is exactly is all about is it is normally does an application. What happens here is there is an example. Let us consider it as an example. In a classroom, right? In a classroom session, right? Assume there is a classroom of 60 people, right? The class of 60 people. And what happens here is the staff comes to teach in the classroom, right? But his allocated time is 45 minutes. So what we do is like the ex staff comes and he keeps on teaching you, and he doesn't bother whether you have got the material or whether you have got the things which you can understand. So he never bothers about the understandability of the students. Rather, he just transfers all the data what we have, what he has studied, because the time limit is 45 minutes. So he doesn't bother whether he wants to know or not. This is not the logic. He keeps on transmitting it. If the student wants to receive the data, what a student should do is student should listen to the professor who has been taking the class at the same speed of talking. So he should listen to him at the same speed what the professor is talking about, so that both the things can be synced and he can get the information. So this is an example for asynchronous communication. When the two heterogeneous devices are operating in a different speed, that is called asynchronous communication. Best example is your Bluetooth, everything, whatever you come across here, Bluetooth, your GSM, the IoT transceivers, what we talked about, all works on the asynchronous communication. This is one kind of methodology. Second kind of methodology, what we have is asynchronous. Imagine a situation where the staff comes over there, he teaches one subject, one sentence, and he waits for the information, that he waits for the acknowledgement, so that every student have understood the concept. If the 60 students are there, every 60 students should get the understandability of the topic. If he gets the acknowledgement, then he goes back into it. So this is the logic. So in order to what he does is, he comes to the class and make every students into the same speed, and then he takes the class with the acknowledgement visible. This is known to be the synchronous. Asynchronous, both are repeating in the same speed. I don't bother about whether the receiver has received or not. I can transmit the data. If the receiver wants to receive the data, he should have it in the same speed so that he can receive the data and do the application. This is asynchronous. And synchronous, what happens is it works on the master-slave concept, where the master comes and makes all the slaves in the same speed, and he teaches everything. And when he gets the acknowledgement from the student, then he goes for the next thing. So this is a synchronous. And all your wired communication or the synchronous protocol. So all your wired communications are the synchronous protocol. For example, all the wired, something called I2C, that is integrated circuit. SPI is serial peripheral interfaces. And then you have a logic, what you call as USB. So then IoT, when we link with IoT, is internet. So all these things are your what you call as a synchronous protocol. So these are all the synchronous protocol. And what we talk about is all the wireless, simple wireless stands for your synchronous communication. This is how the logic works on. So when you have a UART, you can interface with wireless with a serial TXT RHD, and then you can start doing, you can build up your own node for the application. This is one kind of application, right? Hope you have understood what is this synchronous and asynchronous. Second thing is about ADC channels. Whenever you talk about the ADC channel, it is most important once you come across with the ADC channel. What is all about the ADC channel? ADC channels, your Arduino normally comes with 5 channels of ADC. That is 5 channels ADC integrated, in which you can connect the analog sensors over here. You have analog sensors over here. What is the difference here is whenever you start doing your ADC, it is most important that the ADC channel must have high bit resolution. This is the mechanism you have to choose whenever you work on the ADC's concepts, because high bit resolution. Why high bit resolution? Because when you have a high bit resolution, consider you are working on 10 bit resolution. The 10 bit resolution will give you 2 per 10. So the values is 1024 values. So when I consider the voltage, it is some mathematical format. When I consider 0 to 5, this is the voltage, input voltage, the sensor. So when you have this 10 bit of resolution, I will get 1024 levels of output between 0 to 5. So higher the bit resolution, higher the values. See, this is high, we have to choose the mechanism. This is the logic, we have to choose the mechanism. So this is the logic, we have to choose the mechanism. Nowadays in ADCs, we work on 16-bit resolution. So it works on 16-bit resolution, which is very, very important for us to get the larger values from analysis. So this is an ADC channel. When you talk about, you have to take care about this communication protocol, that is I2C SPI, where you can interface a kind of a SD card data, where you can load the data and you can see what is. So with that, we can able to have a data logger system. These are all the things which we are coming across with and consider an Arduino. And then we have a pin, it's a 28 pin, simple 28 pins logic. And from the 28 pins, you can do a lot of stuff. But this is the basic thing when you consider. When you start doing the program, kindly consider the hardware which is required. So first is power supply, ADCs, other peripherals, and your architecture, which architecture it belongs to. All these things we have to keep in mind whenever you start a programming either for C or for the Python. So this has to be recognized first. So this is a logic. Next thing is about, you have understood the basic thing. So next thing is about how to start a code. So what is the logic? Now again, there comes a mechanism. So how to start the code? So before that, when the RISC architecture, we talked about the RISC architecture here. RISC architecture, normally there is another feature which we call as multiple pin operation. Multiple pin operation is, that is, sorry, one pin can do multiple application. One pin can do the multiple application. This is the logic. One pin can do multiple application, and out of which we have to select one application at a time. Hope this is the formula to do a code, right? So one pin can do multiple application, but still you can do only one application at a time. So for example, pin is going to utilize, if the pin is used for ADC, I2C, something like that, I2C, we talk about detail about this, SPI or something IO. Now the pin are used for these 4 applications, but you can use either one application at a time. So please remember this. This is the major important for doing not only for the Arduino, for any kind of a board. If you want to start programming, this is the most important case. That is pin which is utilized for the pin is doing multiple application and one application at a time. So how to configure this? What is the logic? We have to do it. So this is what we are going to do today. So first we'll go for embedded C code, and then we'll shoot on the platform and see what is happening. And then we'll go for a Python. The same code, and we'll repeat one and one again with an application. Things. Embedded C code. So it is derived from C actually. So it is, it is already derived from the C. So first thing is about, I have to start with a function code. We name it as a x.h. We make it as a h.h. Right. So this is your hardware specific file. So X represents your hardware specific file. That hardware specific file will consist of all the registers and libraries, everything. So hardware files, memory details, the peripherals which is present, everything is being present on this hardware files. This hardware file is important because when you have I told you like there is a registers. So what is the mechanism is, when you have a library, you are substituting or you are accessing directly to the registers. So all the register details, all your library formats will be present in the hardware X files. So this is the first thing. Second thing is about what we are going to do today is like, so when you start a code for a hardware, that too for this IoT thing, we have 2 sections. One is your what we called as initialization code. and second code is called your application code. This is what the logic is. This is what is common for Python as well as for the embedded code. So like initialization of the code as well as for the application. This is what the logic which we have to come across here. What is initialization and what is the application? So here the application in sense, initialization in sense, it is a one-time coding. It's a one-time coding. Let us give you an example here, right? Let us have an example. Everybody have utilized these players, DVD players, everything, right? Or phones, different concepts. So let us assume it is a DVD player, right? What you are doing is you are starting or you are making the power on for the device. Can you tell me what will happen if you have a DVD player? Oh, hope everybody have utilized this DVD players and everything. Nowadays, it has not been because of Prime Videos and everything. So in older days, we have came across this kind of DVD players. Once there is a power on system, once you on the power, what will happen? Can anybody can tell me like what will be the case? So once you power on the DVD players, right? Once you power on the DVD player, what will the normal procedure will happen? Very simple question. Any answers, guys? Hope everybody have utilized these DVD players. Any answers? Okay, let me explain this. Hope everybody from like some other states actually.
So the DVD recorder will come out by pressing the power on.
Yeah, what will happen when the power is on?
So when the power will on, the DVD recorder, that player will come out just to so that we can place the DVD in the player.
So that is a process. What will check actually once you on the DVD power on? What will check actually?
The LED sign.
It will check
what it exactly check?
It will check whether the disc is placed. Whether the disc is placed on the drive.
Yeah, good. That's the major thing. First, it decides first it's what the power is on. It will check out whether there is any disk actually. So this is the first process which will be taking place. This is a BSP, right? What I told on the previous session, it is a BSP. Whether the CD is there, CD is there or not. This is the first step, right? So what happens if there is a CD, right? It plays back. Else shows no CD or no disk, correct? So it shows no disk. And what happens here is like it will ask for your CD and you can play this. My next question is the video is on. It is like video is on. Actually, the video is playing back. Actually, right? What happens is you want to make a fast forward, right? Can you understand the question? The video is on and there is a fast forward. I just put up the fast forward. This is an application, right? So my question is whether the processor will check whether the CD is not there or not. It checks whether there is a CD or not. And then it comes back to the fast forward or it continuously fast forward the application. Is my question clear?
It continuously it first checks the
fast forward. Yeah. No, my question is if you fast forward it, right, it won't check for the CD. It goes for the application goes on like that, correct? So here there is two mechanism of programming. One is initialization, which is a one-time programming. And second thing is your application. Until the user stops, the code keeps on running. So whenever you start doing a code for this, whenever you start doing a code for IoT hardware, or in older days, it is called embedded processors. These two things all should be kept in the mind. First thing is about which one is going to be your initialization code and which one is going to be your application code. The initialization code runs only one at a time. Once the power is on, it runs and it runs on the application. So the application code runs continuously until the user stops. So what is the structure when you go for writing a code? Something for this kind of a concept. First thing is about the header file. Second thing is about we have to go for the initialization. Here, the code initialization, everything comes into the picture. And second thing is since it is continuously looping out, so I'll introduce a while one. And our application starts here. application starts over here. This is the code whenever you write for any kind of a hardware basic platform, either with the Python or with the embedded C. This is the major application. This is the major structure for writing your code. So now we go for a tool. Actually, now we go for a tool for Arduino, and both on the Python as well as for your what you call as Arduino IDE. So in the morning session, I have talked about like the most important cases of PA, right? Over the air programming. Now we are going to see how this over the air programming is going to be utilized. And the second thing is about normal IDE. So this is the logic which we are going to make it out. So please remember this, because when I have the code, right, when I'm going to show the code, you are going to explain it, right? Not mine, right? So this is the thing, we have to explain what is the port initialization and what is the application. Very simple, right? So the OTA and IDE, right? So this is what the two mechanisms, two platforms can be utilized here. For an embedded C, you can use an OTA platform that is cloud-centric applications. You can use a cloud-centric development of programs. And second thing is about you can utilize IDE. You can utilize your IDE. IDE doesn't come, it is an integrated development environment where you consist of compiler, debugger, what you call text editor, everything, flasher, everything, flash programmer, everything on the single tool. So this is available right now. So we'll talk about one by one about the each tool, right? How to utilize it. So installation is very simple. IDE you can download from the net for Windows, and you can start doing it. Now just concentrate on the OTA level. We'll talk about the OTA level first. Yeah. Hope you are seeing it actually. Hope you are seeing it actually, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So now my question is like, now we are going to see the tools, some of the tools which are available and the boards also, like, and we jump over to the coding sector. So the codes are very simple, right? So you need not worry about all the things. The codes are very simple. Only thing is we have to make into a kind of an application sector. So how to make it an application mechanism? So let me start with the basic thing. Yeah. So this, your like the Arduino code, this is a cloud-centric mechanism, where in which you can do your code on the cloud itself, and you can post it and you can control your hardware. So this is the Arduino has created a two important things. One is on IDE, which is common. I'll show you that also. Second thing is about working on the logic of the cloud-based mechanism. So cloud-based mechanism is taking place today, and we are going to see how it is going to be working out. So the features of the mechanism. So here we have the plan for this. You can click it for the pre-plan and the micro plans. So here in the cloud centric, you can, this is the logic which we are utilizing for this. So you can connect with the boards, and which we can utilize for a lot of application. So now what we are going to do is we are going to, don't worry about, there is a cost of that. We have a free plan, and you can increase it. So here is like, this is a free plan limitation where you have 100 codes can be done, 100 MB storage. And this is the limitation what we have, 200 seconds per day. So you can execute only 200 seconds per day. And the cloud data recognition is 1 day, and API is 1 request, and you can connect it only with the 1 cloud. But here this is different. Maker's plan, it is $7 per month actually. So this is another criteria where for it can be utilized. So you can utilize a five boards actually at a time, and you don't have a customized libraries. When you want to integrate a customized libraries in a free plan, we don't have it. So again, we have to go for the Maker's plan. So this is all the drawbacks. So you can invest at least 200 rupees for getting all sort of applications with a mechanism. So here, the logic which we are coming across, here we are going to see how it is going to be utilized in our code methodology. So let me assume that you know about the basics of things. Now we go for an add project. So first thing is, when the web starts out, we can go for the add project logic. So you can go for a new project. So next step is, please make a note of that. It will be useful for when you just do the programs on there. Once you just go for the new project or new mechanism. So we have to make it all this, your formalities, everything, agreement signing, that we have to take care. So before that, I just show you what has been done. So after that, what you get it, because it takes some time actually. Yeah. So once you create a project, okay, once you create the project, this will happen actually. This is purely on OTA and cloud-based programming. So this is the code, right? This is the power-based code. Actually, right, this is the logic, and you have examples over here to check it out, what can be done with that. So the problem I told you, like when you work on this kind of things, we won't get a customized libraries to run the show. So that we have to pay back and get it when you work on the cloud. Otherwise, you can download your IDE and you can program what you want. So that is another category what we have actually. So when this kind of a thing programming is being started, it is purely on the C++. It is a library oriented code, object oriented codes which are present over here. So it follows C and as well as C++ in this code actually. So first thing is about, it starts with void setup and void loop. So hope you have understood what is void setup and void loop. Yes? Can anybody tell me what is void setup and void loop here?
Setup is to initialize values.
Setup is for initialization and your loop is your while loop actually, right? So here, when
Yes.
you want to
continuously run.
Yeah, it will continuously run it. This code will continuously run it, right? So until the user stops.
That are related to retrieve some value from the sensors.
Yes, that is when you want the sensors, you want to control application, reading the data from the SD card, and you want to connect the data to the Wi-Fi network. Anything is possible with the help of this, right? So this is the logic which we come across here. So this is a void setup and we have a void loop. Actually, I just make a simple code and then we move on to the Python mechanism. So let me have the basic code. So we'll go for digital. So the procedure to start with blink LED, right? That is a procedure to start any code actually, right? So the void loop is something, it is like very simple code which are available. And moreover, when you start doing the code on an Arduino, all the codes are being there. It is up to you to change the logic on what can be done here. So here is the code for this. Here is a simple code for this, for a digital pin. So it must be like, only thing is just declaring all the points here, what is to be on and off and the milliseconds and everything. And the setup code is something like pin mode. This is a library which is used to initialize my pin. So LED pin has been defined as here is LED built-in. So what are the LEDs built-in pin? That has been represented here. So here, what is the another advantage of cloud is you can get, when the code is generated, it generates the schematics. So this is another advantage of your mechanism. This is the another advantage of your mechanism. In cloud, when you work on IDE, you don't find this kind of application here. So here, this is another kind of a thing where the schematics can be generated and layout can be generated automatically, depends upon the code. So what is the logic which comes over here is, whenever you develop any kind of a model product, this is the logic. So whenever you develop any kind of the model product, right, that model product can be considered with the help of this kind of mechanism, because you need not work on, you need not break your hardware. You need not break your hardware. Instead, it can be the schematics and everything can be generated when the codes are also generated. So this is an advantage, guys, when you work on the cloud-centric logic. So when you work on this is an advantage. When the code is there, the hardware will also be generated. So this is the logic which we come across here. So built-in, you have seen this. So the pin number has to be generated. It is number D13. So it is a D13 pin which is connected with the LED. So that is a LED built-in. So that is a 13th pin will be considered. Digital pin will be considered as an input. Right? So that is a LED pin where the things are considered. Now, where I told you like it is a pin which can do multiple application. So what we are doing is we have to configure whether the pin is an input or output. It is common for the RISC architecture. Whenever you work on any kind of the RISC architecture, the configuration of your pin to input and output is necessary and it is mandatory. Otherwise, there will be no kind of an application which take place. And this is being involved in void setup because it can be initialized only once. Once it is initialized, it will be fixed. You need not put up on the void loop mechanism. That is a while loop mechanism. So here, this pin mode is a library, LED pin, comma, output. So the pin 13 will act as the output for us. And if you want the case here, we have to again check it out. So here, so you can put up, I check for a new code actually. So you can make it up the pin as a input. So if you want a pin as an input, you can make it as a pin as an input. That's all. That has been possible with this. This is the logic. So if you want the pin to be possible, then you can convert into an input. If you want the output, then it is considered as a output. A simple logic. So what is generated. After this, loop starts and the condition is started. Now this very simple thing, it takes your LED condition. If the LED state is low, the LED which is connected is high. It's a vice versa condition. So it blinks everything for every second, and the LEDs are blinked over here. And this program runs continuously until the user stops. It's a very simple code which can be running on my Arduino platform on the cloud-centric mechanism. Once I upgrade my plan, this term can be utilized to import my code and to put it up on the hardware. So this is another category which we have on the cloud-centric logic, which is another most important for the cloud-centric logic which is being taking place right now. So this is about the Arduino. So I don't have my serial port on my what you call in my laptops because we don't use Arduino. To be frank with you, we don't use Arduinos actually. Right. So the logic is simply with that. So cloud-centric Arduino with what is the mechanism which we have taken about. So here you have a lot of examples where from the examples you can see what are all the things you can do with that. When you want a basics code, there is an analog serial read, everything blink. So you can do it and you can do the logic. You can understand. But only thing is, if you want keep on doing it the board, it is highly impossible to understand it. So please go through what all the things I told you. Then if you can come across this course, then it will be easier for you to understand. For example, let us assume this code, basic code. Everybody understand LED built-in is output, pin act as an output. So we are making high to low pulses. So digital write, LED built-in, it is high for a minute, high for some seconds. And for LED built-in, this pin has been declared and it is low for some seconds. So it is a blinking of LED, which has been started with a kind of an application. So this is how this logic can be taken. This is a built-in LED. It is not being externally connected LEDs. So this is the logic which is being taken care about it. So the advantage of working on cloud-centric is you have all the libraries as we work on IDEs. Second thing is about hardware generation. That is, it will generate its own hardware layout and the schematics can be generated easier so that we can able to work on to the breadboard connections or whatever the connections you want, you can do with a kind of an application. So this is one kind of a mechanism, what we utilize and what is the logic, a simple C code. Now we are moving on the same blinking code with the Python. So how it can be done with the help of a Python. So let me start with this. So we are going to start with the Python actually. So how does the Python comes into the picture for a different logic and how come it has been utilized for a kind of an application. So this is what we are going to have these things actually. So here is the code. First, when you want to start a Python actually, so I just share some of the points regarding the Python. So what does you have in the Python? I just share with you. Right. So hope the things are clear actually. I hope you're seeing my code actually, like you are seeing desktops. It is MicroPython. So Python, when it is integrated for an embedded concept or embedded processors, we call this a MicroPython. So it is normally with a Python 3 programming. So you have that platform in a C, a very simple LED code. We can check it out in the Python also. But there are some tools which we have to take care about it and take care of all these logics. So MicroPython, so this is the logic which we have to take care about it for Arduino platform. So MicroPython can be supported. The Python can be supported. It supports with Python 3. These are all the boards which comes into the specific application. So I'll list out some of the boards with compatible with your Arduino. First is your Node MCU. This can be done with the help of a MicroPython and it can run on the Arduino platform, Node MCU. It can support with what you call the C also. But today, in the scenario of Python, we just integrate a MicroPython on Node MCU to run the show. Second board, what we come across is PyCom, P-Y-C-O-M. This is the most important board which can run on Arduino platform. I show you the board actually. Yeah. So this is the board actually. So this is the board which can be checked with your Arduino compatibility or Arduino platforms actually. So these are all the boards which are available for you. So what is the specification? It is purely with your MicroPython. Everything runs on the MicroPython. So other than the Arduino boards at Mega, this is a Cortex M3 architecture. It's a Cortex M3, M4 architecture. So what is M3 and M4 architecture? Like this is something like it is an SoC kind of a thing which is normally utilized with the advanced Arduino applications. So here you can use a MicroPython for this. So MicroPython coding. So you have a lot of boards with that actually. I just explained this. What are all the things which are available? Yeah. So here are all the boards. So you can use these boards for a WSN based IoT application. So in the previous session, we saw something on the IoT protocols. So IoT protocols, we saw something on IoT protocols. The protocols, what we called as Wi-Fi, that is we call Wi-Fi, LoRa, and we saw something on the 5G, Sigfox, everything. So what happens here is these boards are particularly meant for the wireless IoT communication. When you want to establish any kind of a wireless communication network in the real-time scenario, these boards are plays a vital role in establishing it. So for example, these boards like Wi-Fi means it has a Wi-Fi and LTE. So when you work on Arduino, platform, Arduino boards like what we discussed on the previous first one, what we have to do is when you want to connect an IoT sector, you need to connect the Wi-Fi separately to the Arduino and then you have to write a code. But here, in this mechanism, the Python-based platforms, what happens here is these kinds of boards will have the integrated transceivers inside the chip so that the programming remains easier for us. So this is the difference between working on the basic board and advanced board, but both can run on the Arduino IDE platform. This is the logic, right? So that can be run on the IDE platform. So this is MicroPython. The advantage why I prefer MicroPython for an IoT boards. This is the logic we have to come across here. So here, this Wi-Fi, Sci-Fi is Sigfox, Lo-Fi is LoRa. So you have a lot of things integrated in a single board. So this kind of boards playing a vital role, I repeat again. So it is a communication mechanism where you can do a lot of things. Disasters, agriculture monitoring, and forest, the forest monitoring, fire monitoring, any case of monitoring application, these boards play a vital role. So I'm going to talk about how this can be integrated with the Arduino IDE platform, right? So this is the logic. So hope you have understood what is this board is about. It's a PyCom which runs on Cortex M3/M4 architecture. And it is all having the integrated peripherals inside it so that it can run fast. Okay. So this is the thing actually the boards which we are coming across for the MicroPython. And the MicroPython, you can do wonders with MicroPython with the logic because you can utilize even a single Anaconda navigator or Anaconda for writing a code for this. So this is what we have to check out about the logics. So this is PyCom board which we are running over here. So now how the Arduino IDE can be used for the platform. So how it can be utilized for a platform. So now I share this, the Arduino IDE, which is what we follow nowadays. The IDEs are, let me check it out. Right. So this is what you will be coming across with the first thing is cloud centric. It is completely a cloud centric logic. So what we talked about cloud, you have to register, login, and all the codes are there. You do the code there itself and put it on the hardware. This is what we explained at first, that is OTA, but it is a basic level. But what we developed on the ATA with the Upshift IO, that is completely different. So now that is C code with a general idea. Then we'll move on to the Python with the same idea. So how to make this IDE into your Python framework for developing a MicroPython coding for the hardware. So here is the code. So you would have seen this. You can be downloaded from the internet and from the Windows and you can install it. You can see a file. Please make note of that. And you can go for examples over here. And there is a protocol called Fimata, right? This is the Fimata. Fimata has been something called, which is being utilized for your Python. Okay, so Python is being integrated with this kind of an application, so you can utilize with the help of a Fimeta. So Fimeta, I just do with all sort of applications. You can see here the Python code for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Ethernet, ChipKit, BLE, everything is available. So you can write a code on the Python and you can run it, provided the Fimeta is been running over here. So I just go for this. I've already made it one code actually, right? Yeah. Here the code. So this is for the MicroPython stage actually. So MicroPython stage. Now the code has been converted into a MicroPython. We can do the MicroPython code here, but the logic is, let me check whether it has been installed. How to check whether this Fimeta protocol is installed on my logic? Let me take an example again and go for Fimeta and go for a standard to check whether it is been running over here. So let's standard Fimeta. So again, another IO ID is over here. So this is the code. I'll tell you what is the code will be done. Okay. So just what happens is just run the code. The codes are running actually because I downloaded it. So it checks the COM port is not selected. Let me go for 3 because the hardware is not connected. You can check it out which hardware can be utilized. My codes works. So now I have converted. It should show some errors actually because I have not connected on the board. Right? It will be uploading. Okay, so this is how it will be converted. This is a procedure to convert your code into your, that is Fimeta protocol with the help of this. I just repeat once again, Fimeta, check it out with the standard. If it is not, I have installed it already in my laptop, so it shows that. But you have some procedures to install over here. So the standard Fimeta, you have a code over here. Now the code works, simple. But where I should install it? I have one procedure. That procedure, it is not common that you should follow that procedure. You can follow your own thing, right? So we have to move on to the Python IDE, right? So we have to move on to the Python IDE. So how this can be utilized? So it will take time. There is no board, so it will search on that. We'll keep on. This is the methodology to uploading, to converting your Arduino IDE from C to a MicroPython. So next thing is about where do I install all these libraries? Fimeta, PyFimeta, this is which is utilized for the Python libraries. How does it gets upgraded? Let me have a clear thing what you have to do for the application. The thing is, so let me start with the Python. So how does the Python? So it will be a group of tools when you want to convert to the normal C, and everybody will like understand like, okay, to C, I don't want to take a lot of risk when I do with the Python. But when you do a Python, you have a lot of things like a lot of boards can be tested. So you can have a lot of boards with the tested. I told you like PyCom can be tested with Arduino IDE, which I converted into a Python. So PyCom can be integrated with the platform and you can use it. Node MCU can be utilized to connect it and see what is happening. So you have a lot of features, lot of applications to be developed here. So now we are going to install the Python libraries so that the Arduino IDE can understand the Python libraries and it can convert where you can develop your own code for the Python, right? So before that, I use Arduino. That is, sorry, I'm using Anaconda Navigator. You can use anything, whatever you want, because we are very used to this Anaconda Navigator, right? So Anaconda, right? So you can see here, this is a home. I just explained what is all the tools about. So here, all the things, home, environment, and everything. Here you are seeing some of the environmental variables which are being connected, which are being created for the kind of a program. And there are the libraries which are you to do. So this is a most important scenario once you work on the Python, right? Once you work on the Python, very, very important scenario. We already told you, right? The Python works on the 3.7. So it works on the Python 3. MicroPython is the Python 3 based programming. It never supports Python 2. So please remember this. So what we have to choose here? So what is the logic once you work on the Anaconda Navigator? So let me explain with my classroom session, and then I'll come back to here, and then you can see what is happening. First thing is about, we saw that's a cloud and everything. So now conversion of Python, MicroPython conversion. So what we have to do, I have explained you the Fimata tool has been installed. What is the logic? I'm going to use Anaconda. So it is not mandatory that you have to use Anaconda. You have a lot of tools which are available. So you can utilize either with the command. So my thing is we are using a lot of things with Anaconda Navigator. So what is all about the Anaconda? So Anaconda is a group of tools which you can utilize here. Many of us will be getting stuck in the problem in working on Anaconda because most of the people are working on ML also. So this is the tool which I want to explain you the logic, right? So whenever, for example, let us take an example, right? That's an example. For example, let me have this one. This one example. I want to need the first topic. I want to convert into MicroPython. So I need a MicroPython, and I need a Python libraries for Arduino. So that type error. So Python libraries for Arduino, so that I can write a code on the Arduino directly. I don't want this, so code on either write the code on IDE or either with the help of your IDE, Python IDE itself. So I repeat once again, this is, you can use either Arduino IDE or the Python IDE itself. So that's the logic. It's one. So example, first case when you work on Anaconda, converted because I have installed already, and then you have a Python libraries has to be installed because these are the separate libraries which supports for any kind of a board. Let us assume Arduino, Node MCU, and COM. Right? So these are all the things which are required. Right? So Python boards and which are required. And we have to write the code either in that is Arduino IDE or the Python IDE. So I'll just show you in the two mechanisms. They are Arduino IDE. I've shown you with the help of Fimata. Now the same Python IDE I'm just use in the Spider. Right? I just use two Spider. Right? So these are the logics which we have come across here. So now, what is the mechanism which we have been taking over here? What we should do now? So we should create environmental variable. Right? So it is an environmental variable. This environmental variable will allocate a space for you so that you can allocate all the tools what is required. This has been, many of us are failing installing a group of softwares in the kind of, when you work on a Linux OS or when you work on this kind of environment, where everybody is or being failed about this. This is the logic. So once we have to create the environmental variable, this is the logic. So environmental variable has to be created, and you have to work on that kind of an environmental variable to write a code. This is the logic. So you have to write an environmental variable, that is create an environmental variable, the space and the tools, and you have to write the code on the particular location so that you can, every tools is installed in one space and you can write the codes can be linked with easier. This is the logic. I'll show you the demo. What's the problem we'll have. This is the logic, memory space, right? Second case is the same case. Second case too, when you are working on image processing based application. Think tools which is required, OpenCV or DLib, whatever the case. If you want any kind of a machine learning or deep learning, TensorFlow has to be created. These are the tools which was required. First of all, when you work on this kind of environment, list down the tools what is required. And then the same process, create environmental variable and do the application. This is the logic. This is the logic which we have to come across. This is the mechanism. Once you start doing it with the help of a concepts. So if you don't do that, for example, let us assume a case 3. You need all the things. You need all the things. Suppose, for example, you need a Python, you need an OpenCV, or you need a DLib, whatever the case, or even you need a YOLO, whatever the case you need. These kinds of softwares you need. If you don't create an environmental variable, you can't able to use a good application because everything will be scattered at any place. It is the process. You have to link all the codes in one place and you have to do the code. So this reminds to be the headache. So I suggest you, when you work on the Python environment, go for these cases. Decide your tools based on the application, create an environment variable, install all in that and work on that variable so that on the space, so that it will be easier for you. So this is the mechanism what we have to take care about it. So now I just go for the mechanism. I just move on to the Anaconda again. Now in the Anaconda, right now I'm just converting. So TensorFlow and everything I have created here, but here I have created a base root, right? The base root is a normal platform which is being utilized here. Suppose I can show you the demo what to create. Here is a create your demo. So environment, let us assume it is micro. So I just want this actually for a 3.7 because I told you like MicroPython is normally utilized for a 3 version. So I just created. So my environmental variable will be created. Very simple, right? It's very simple to create an environmental variable. That's why we use the Anaconda platform here. So this is another thing. So now it has been MicroPython is been creating, the software is creating a MicroPython variable, right? Let us wait for a few seconds. Then we'll go for a installation. So it takes time because you need a lot of internet. So now the environmental variable is creating. So it is creating with the logic actually. So it creates. So the packages are installed here. So now I just want to go for, I just show you what is the difference here. So I have already installed my tool. I just open in my open terminal, right? I've already installed every tool. That's why the Arduino IDE is converted into MicroPython. Now it has to, I will show you how to install it. So I will go for pip install. So already satisfied. My library has this pipe emitter that is suitable for my network. It is there, right? This is the one thing I have showed you. Next thing is about, I just go for another thing which we have created right now. So we have created, what we have created is on MicroPython. Where is it actually? So there is a hang over here. Yeah, I got it. It is not being created. So everything is over. So successfully installed over here. So just I'll go for other thing and I'll show you what is happening. Now, from this, you can launch a spider. I have typed something wrong actually. So, okay, we'll talk over this. So I just launch the spider over here and my spider is launched. So this is the logic and the code is written over here. So here you can write your own code for the Arduino. This is the code, right? This is the code we can write for the Arduino. The serial port is not connected. So it will show you that the error is in the device. That is the serial port device. So here, this is how you can do your code on the Spider IDE itself for a Arduino. So you can see here, the board, I have make it as an Arduino in the Spider. And then with the help of the mechanism, what I told you, you can write your own code here. That is the board digital 13th pen, the same code which we written on the C code, the same thing is written on the MicroPython, that which runs on the Spider IDE, right? Only thing is we have to concentrate on the port which is being assumed here because I don't connect the board here. So that will shows the error. There is no kind of a port which is available. So here, this is the logic which we come across for the conversion of a MicroPython stage. So this is the logic. So I repeat once again. So this you can connect your hardware and see what is happening. So now We'll check for the another thing already created. Let us see what is happening. So hope you have understood. Other than first thing is Fimita is normally used to convert your Arduino IDE. Now with the Python IDE itself, you can do the code for the Arduino Node MCU or PyCom. So you can do the code with the help of this IDE itself, with the Anaconda Navigator itself, you can run the show. It doesn't mean that Arduino IDE is required. You have two options on the board, and which one you are being comfortable, you can choose with an application. Because Anaconda, like, why I want to suggest this Anaconda as something like we are using an artificial intelligence also, ML also. You can integrate this ML algorithms along with the board. So that is why I just preferring this Anaconda that can be converted, that can be utilized for a kind of an application. So this is how the logic which behaves here. So what I'm trying to say is, like, I have created a tool on that base root. I have installed PyFimita and the boards are ready. I'm in a Spider. I can launch from Anaconda. I can launch the Spider and I can do the applications. Now, the same procedure, I'll just make you continue. Like, what happens here is I have installed already, but now I'm creating a new environmental variable called MicroPython. Let us see what is happening. So we have created from the scratch. We are going to build up. This is little bit thing. You have to make it clear for every application. Whatever the applications you want, you can use this. What I told in the class notes. Yeah. So now it is created. So I just click for this open terminal. This is another environmental variable, right? What I'm going to do is I'm just going for the pip install PyFimita. So I have installed it. We already installed it. Let me check what is happening. Now you can understand the environmental variable is been different. Now it start collecting your PyFimita, and in the environmental variable called MicroPython will has the PyFimita for Arduino, right? PyFimita for the Arduino. And the same way in the base root also, I am having the PyFimita for the Arduino. So you can use any kind of application. This is the power of the Anaconda Navigator by creating the environmental variable. So this you can use. Another MicroPython will have Fimita. You can install anything. But when you want to, if the tools are not installed, if you say it is MicroPython, if the tools are not installed, it will show that it is not been installed properly. So please remember, creation of environmental variable is important. So once you create, install everything over it and launch the mechanism. Once this is created, close it, and then we'll go for the home. And you can see here the MicroPython, everything. What's the environmental variable I have created? It shows everything to install. The IDE which is there is, it shows everything is installed. We need to install it because it is newly created variable. Whereas, which we have worked on this base root, kindly check it out here. So you can check it out here. This is the logic. That is, we can check it out here. It has been under launch. So in this variable, I have installed everything. And in the case of a MicroPython, it is not installed properly. So we have to install everything and then we have to launch it. So that makes the difference of a creation of environmental variable for converting any MicroPython based programming on the hardware. So you can convert into a MicroPython based hardware. You can convert into a machine learning or deep learning. Anything you want to do it, you can do it. So this is the logic. From this, you have to launch the Spider IDE. This is Spider IDE. You can launch it. Once it launches, this will be the screen. This is my screen which comes into the picture, and you can start doing with the import PyFimita and connect your hardware board, and you can do with the logic. So this is how the MicroPython board, the MicroPython can be supported with the Arduino with the help of Spider IDE. So not only with a Spider IDE, it can be useful for any kind of a board such as from PyCom and the Node MCU also. So now you can understand what is the procedure to do with the MicroPython conversion. So Fimita, Arduino IDE, you can convert it, but you need to make, when you want to have a data analytics, everything, what is the problem is the Arduino IDE doesn't have that kind of feature. But when you work on this kind of things, you can make the data analytics features, everything on the hardware. And you can check it for the research, what can be utilized for that. So this is the logic. So I'll tell you what is the base code which you can develop for this. So hope you have understood the difference environment of Arduino. One single Arduino, different environments, right? With the Python and also with the C code. So hope you have understood what is the logic which we are coming across here. So now what happens here is, now you're going to have a classroom session. Hope you have understood up to now. So how to connect this, how the data can be fed over here, and what sort of applications can be done with the help of these boards, right? So the codes remains very simple. So we need our codes which can be in the examples. You can download it and you can check it out. There is a separate MicroPython code. I'll share the link at the last of my session, end of the session. There is a code which is available. You can download the code and you can follow the procedure what I told you, because this is a problem where you fix up. So other codes, you don't have a problem. You can straight away you can run the show actually. So now I just move on to how the codes and what are some better applications than the LED blinking, right? So first application what I'm going to share with you is minutes actually. I'll start with this. So now we'll move on to this actually. The applications, advanced applications, right? So how to make it simple Arduino. So my suggestion is, all the professors who are here actually, you are just building up the future generation. So my basic thing is like the Arduino. So why I taught you, like why I share the knowledge of Arduino not only on one single ID but all sort of applications, because Arduino is being utilized by the school kids itself, right? Everybody knows it, but we need some secret scenario how it is being utilized. So my thing is, you can prefer this Spider ID, what I told you with Anaconda, from Anaconda, like accessing your Arduino, and which you can integrate some of basic data analytics program along with an application on Arduino. If you can do that, then it will be a good thing. So now I'm just going to explain you what can be done with that. What sort of application can be done with that? Let us assume it is a case 4. So now what we are going to do is how to make data analytics program. This research forum, you can use it for your research if you have been comfortable with this. Data analytics on the Arduino using your MicroPython. This is the logic which we are going to take over it. So this is something which is an advanced one. So let me have the problem. What is the problem? How this can be eradicated with Arduino and the codes and everything. The first thing is about in the problem. What we have is like in the previous session, and some professor has asked me about the routing and OT routing. So I'm going to take about this, right? So simple data analytics problem. First, we'll construct the hardware. What may be the hardware for this? And the tools, you know about the tools. What are the tools, right? So like WSN IoT routing algorithm. So what kind of a thing we can bring it over here? The hardware, we require the battery supply, any sensor values, simple, very sensor values, right? And Arduino or what you call the SpyCom, anything, Node MCU and anything connected with the Wi-Fi. So if we use an Arduino, we need a separate Wi-Fi, that is ESP8266. To use a Node MCU, it is already there. So you not worry about it. It is an ESP8266 node. And if you have a PyCon, it has a separate board. This has a separate things on this. So it has a integrated on it. So you not worry about it. Let us take all these things. How to connect it? What is the logic? Let us assume we have 10 WSN IoT nodes, right? 10 WSN IoT nodes over here. So what I do is the battery connected to my ADC, right? Monitor the battery power. That is the power which is required. And the sensors connected with my ADC. With the values. These things are, it has been displayed in my display. Let us assume I have a display of TFT. TFT is normally works with SPI. So this is the hardware, right? This is a hardware where you can utilize for your research, right? So this is the logic which we are coming across here, and the sensors ADC's values, and these values will be transferred using a Wi-Fi module what we have. And this Wi-Fi module or BLE, whatever the case, let us assume it is working on ESP8266. It works on SPI again. So SPI, from the SPI, data transmits over to the cloud. Right? So WhatsApp, the logic is, this is what the WhatsApp, this is the logic what we are going to construct here, how to do the program for this. So how does the MicroPython comes for a logic? So how the MicroPython is coming into the logic. Now what we are going to do is, right, we are going to adopt an algorithm. Of the algorithm that is adaptive power control mechanism. Adaptive power control mechanism. What the statistics we are going to do here is, I'm going to the simple statistics. Higher the distance, lower the power. Lower the distance, lower the power. That is equal to the lower the power. What happens here is in Arduino, right? So whenever you connect any Wi-Fi transceivers or Bluetooth, it transmits a equal power irrespective of a distance. If the nodes are within a 1 meter of range, right? It takes 1 meter of range, takes the power of 1 milliwatt. It is 1 milliwatt, right? So it is 1 milliwatt of power, right? 1 milliwatt of power. Sorry, 1 milliwatt of power. So when the nodes are with each other, right? Nodes with each other, which is less than of 1 meter, also it is transmitting 1 milliwatt of power. Here, this is what is happening in the wireless nodes with IoT transmission. So what happens is we are going to incorporate the data model. So yesterday we saw, in the previous session we saw about the data model. And the data, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out the distance. And in accordance to the distance, I'm going to adjust the power. This is what the logic. I'm going to adjust the power. This is the simple data analytics mechanism. This is simple data analytics, which I'm going to use it in my Arduino. Change data distance and adjust the power. How do I measure the distance? Through a manual or any by the scale? No. What I do is I just want to read the SSI, that is received signal strength. Higher the strength, lower the distance. So in accordance with that, I can adjust the power. So what happens is simple mechanism. So here, the battery life is continuously monitored over by the board. And what happens is I'm just adjusting the power of transmission based on the distance by measuring the RSSI, which is present in the firmware of the transceivers. Firmware of the transceivers. You can read it through the mechanism. So the logic. Data analytics, what I'm going to do is simple data analytics. So here I told you like SPI connected with my mechanism, that is it's been connected with my Arduino. So SPI ESP8266, I just used to read the command from the mechanism. That command is known to be AT command. It is mostly utilized in your what you call in communication sector on the networking side. AT commands. It is called attention commands. These attention commands are being utilized to update your IoT trans receivers. When you work on GPRS, when you work on kind of a Bluetooth, when you want to work on LoRa, anything, this attention command is very, very important to get the updates or get the values of the transceiver's firmware. So the AT commands is most important, and that is being utilized for a kind of an application. So this is an AT commands is utilized. So now what I'm going to do, SPI programming, just pass the AT commands. That the AT commands can able to read the data. AT commands, let us assume it is MDF. Simple command. You have a lot of commands over here for a lot of transceivers. It's a simple thing. So read it the data, store it in an application, store it in case of an application. Let us assume it is RSSI 1. I've got the value of SPI and just store. So I check the X. X is equal to some value of RSSI. For example, it is like minus 89 dB. I just decide the power. The power can be used less than that of dBs, like less than that of 1 milliwatt. So what I can do is I'm just making out with a 0. For example, right? I then make it out a clear calibrated value. 0.5 milliwatt. Again, SPI write. I have to write the firmware about the power. AP commands, I have to read the power. I have to write the power on the signal. Now, my hardware, the Arduino and everything now works instead of 1 milliwatt of power, which is default power of the distance. Now it is being utilized for the kind of a 0.25 milliwatt. In this case, if you write this kind of code with the help of the same code, this MicroPython will play your vital role for this with the help of a spider. So the SPI, this kind of an application can be utilized to save your power and to increase the battery lifetime. So that is the process. When you do this, and you can form your own routing, and you can take a lot of data analytics because you are going to connect it in the cloud. So you can see the sensor values, you can see the battery lifetime, everything on this case, and from that you can make a real-time routing logic based on Arduino testbeds. So that can be done with the help of this logic, what I told you. Even I show you the skeleton of the code. So that can be integrated on this and the tool I told you with the Spider ID. So if you can use this kind of a setup, you can really see what is happening in the routing and what kind of routing can be take place. Now the simple Arduino is now converted into based off your WSN based IoT testbed, which is a low cost testbed, which you can able to implement for this kind of an application. So this is how the Arduino should be utilized. So this is the one kind of an application where it has been utilized for the data analytics, and this can be utilized for a band, any networks, right? Any networks for the IoT supported, right? And you can change your transceivers also. So I'm giving a full research idea that you can change this instead of Wi-Fi, you can connect with LoRa and you can connect with GPRS any cases, and you can see the power consumption and power routing system on the based on the real testbed application. This is one kind of thing where the Arduino is utilized. Arduino platform, we have explained you Python platform, again the application, right? Second thing is about for the Arduino, when there is a lot of questions, we use Arduino for the image processing. So no, it is not possible. Actually, it is not being utilized here. Even though there are some libraries, it is not advisable to use here. So it is not advisable to use here. Only thing is you can use this kind of an application, this kind of use case that will be utilized for a data transmission. So collecting the data and making the data into a mechanism. So that kind of data transmissions can be utilized. So in general, you can have the data analytics integrated, or in Python, all these things make it in your Python. So data gathering, the cloud system. So this can be possible with the help of a logic. So this is how you have to utilize here, right? Now, the next thing is about, after doing it, just give you the skeleton of the code and you can download from the internet. I just give you the picture. Whenever you want to write ADC code, what is the thing to be done? Whenever you want to write a UART, what is to be done? A skeleton code. By seeing this, you can understand the code easily and you can manipulate it. Let us go for this ADC code. For ADC code, what you have to do is, first thing is about, step is select your ADC channel, right? Select your ADC channel. Second step is, right, so after selecting your ADC channel, check for a SOC pin. That is start of conversion pin. So start of conversion pin has to be enabled 1 and wait for your conversion. So because the libraries are there, you can download it and you can do it. But understanding the code is important. First thing is about read the data from the ADC pin. And do the manipulation. So you have to convert into a real-time scenario. Convert into terms of a real-time scenario. Right. Sixth one is go for the analysis. This is one of the ADC codes which you can utilize for this. And when you want to transmit your wireless code, right? Select the ADC channel and there is another step. Select the frequency. Select the frequencies. This is common for every board what you work, right? And when you work on the wireless IoT transceivers, right? First step is configure TXD and RXD. This is important. So TXD and RXD. And second important step is what you have to convert is set the baud rate. This is most important what I told on the previous session. That is that previous case, that is UART. Right? Speed has to match with logic. So set the baud rate. Same as your transceivers. Right? And third thing is about set the baud rate and transmit and receive the data. And when you connect it with the cloud, simple example, what I talked about is decide your protocol. So MQTT, we need a data structure. Again, we have to make it out. The morning I told you the library which is here is Mosquitto. Second thing is about configure the API keys for the cloud. Transmit the information. In the format, in the cloud format. That's protocol. And wait for the response. Sorry, there's a typo error. So when you want to interface all these things, this has to be made ready for your application. So this is the logic which we have to take care about. When you want to connect with SPI-based cloud system, SPI-based Wi-Fi network, first thing you have to check it out is like you have to configure. When you want to connect it with the router, Wi-Fi router has to be configured. Wi-Fi router is to be configured, and then we have to set the passwords, because you need a gateway, password, then the user ID, and follow the steps 3. That is your methodology. That is code-oriented mechanism. These are all the things which you can do. These are the common programs which are being utilized here. So everything combined in a single board, and we can utilize this kind of an application. Then the test at low cost and less complex bits or can be made ready with the Python or MicroPython. That's the power of Python which we already have. So these are all the things we have seen here as programming. What is the selection of your hardwares, and C codes? What is the 3D blinking? And we have libraries. We have seen about the cloud-centric Arduino IDEs, where it generates your hardware as well as your codes. You do not break your mind. This is one kind of fine example of OTA. Basic example, what we saw about it. Then IDE, conversion of IDE into MicroPython. We have used the Fimata, and again another tool, Anaconda tool, which is being going to be utilized for doing a program on Arduino that we have installed with the environmental variable, PyFimata, and we saw some of the simple code, LED blinking, and simple project why the Arduino should be utilized for that. Other than the LED blinking, ADC display, other than that, what you can utilize for an Arduino, that is an adaptive power controller. So you can design WSM based IoT devices for transmission and checking your routing and everything. And finally, the steps, every code, what I told you, like it is in downloadable format. You can check it out, all these things. Why? Because I'm sharing the steps is because you can able to modify your code. That is required actually. We can modify the code, depends upon our application. If you run the code, if you can, it will be running. But if you know the steps, you can do the manipulations. So this is what we can change the frequency, you can change the channel, everything you want, you can change it and you see what is happening. So that's why I share the steps for writing a code for everything, and this is common for everything, right? So this is what the logic is. So hope you have understood from the basics to such a kind of an application. Anything like any doubts you can ask me right now. If you are interested only on the data analytics part, any data sets available for using MicroPython. I got a good question actually, right? Yes, sir. For this kind of a data analytics part, we don't have a separate data sets actually. We don't have a separate data sets for that. What we have to do is we have to prepare the data sets based on the board what we have. So you can collect what, if you want an agriculture data sets, you can collect the agriculture data sets based on the sensors, and you can do a data analytics on my Arduino board. That is possible, but there is no kind of a separate data sets for working on this kind of a MicroPython. I've given you the tool, what can be understood, what can be implemented. You can check it with that. Any doubts? Is the doubts clear, sir? Actually. Yeah. Any queries right now? Any queries?
Sir, IoT in medical imaging.
Yeah, please. So what kind of thing is required actually in medical imaging?
Sir, PVC, sir.
No, like
Ask your question, sir.
my question is because like in medical imaging we have a lot of aspects. What kind of aspects you need in medical imaging for this kind of application? Generally, okay. So generally, medical application in the morning, I told you like one kind of an application, an IoT networks that is transmitting your medical ultrasound videos for the logic. So medical ultrasound videos can be transmitted over your IoT network. That is possible for the different diagnosis of the mechanism. And here what we are doing is, I just explain you like, so quite interesting question. I'll just explain you. So the logic here is, what is the mechanism here is, now in this kind of an application, right? So in this kind of a medical images system, it is normally utilized in an IoT network where the IoT consumes a lot of power. So here what we do is we just put it on the cloud system, and the cloud will retrieve it, the basic mechanism. Here, the logic which comes into the picture here is the medical imaging system with the cloud. You need a databases, so that you need a concept of making to store it in the cloud. So you need a high performance CPU. You can't use a PyCom or Arduino, something which we discussed right now. It cannot be utilized. So you can utilize at least a simple board that is called RPI. Else we have to use very high frequency boards which is to be utilized here. So it is an RPI, and from the RPI it is going to be used in the cloud to retrieve it. This is what the logic. Now what happens here is, now IoT, now it is being converted into the next methodology with the help of blockchain. Now we are working on the blockchain with the IoT, the medical image transmission. So here the medical images transmission imaging system has taken a vital role, has taken a deviation by making all the things into a blockchain, and the IoT which integrated with the blockchain has now reached a new peak in research. So you can concentrate on this area. That will be more useful for you. Any doubts for IoT to work? So I just come one by one. Can the MicroPython can be used for the live data? Sure, you can use it for the live data when it is stored on a SD card that has been utilized. IoT work as well as the internet is must. Yes, if there is any other way we can control a device without an internet, there is any work that is going around. Without an internet, it is highly impossible, because IoT is already a work with the internet. So without an internet, it is highly impossible. But only solution I can give you as which the background work is going on is with the usage of cognitive radios. It is known to be a cognitive radios, where even though like with the help of transmitters, wireless mechanism, we can able to transmit the data, even absence of your internet. But that is under very baby step to implement this, because in our country, the 5G is not being implemented properly. Even the 4G is not also there. So when the 5G comes into this picture, this cognitive radio will play a vital role. And that kind of thing, what I'm saying about is without internet, it is possible to have a data transfer. But up to now, it is not possible. Only with the internet, it has been possible. Hope you have got the answer actually, right? Any questions? Any questions, guys?
Participants, ask your questions. No, ma'am.
So hope everybody have understood it. That's the meaning of not asking a question actually, right?
Yes. Yes, sir, the feedbacks are very nice, excellent, like that they are sending.
Okay.
From morning to evening, your tone never goes down, sir. This shows your interest in IoT. So we have to learn a lot from you, how to take sessions. Very, very nice, sir. So I am very, very thankful to Dr. Atif Shah, sir, for sharing his knowledge to all the participants over India. Your session is very, very helpful for all the researchers who are doing PhD in the area of IoT, sir. And then your real-time exams are quite fantastic, sir. And then I am so thankful whenever we are asking a session, without hesitating, you are providing us. So on behalf of KSR IET, Atal Academy, and myself, I am so thankful to you for this wonderful session, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Like, this is my mail ID, and you can contact me through any doubts and queries. I'm happy to share with you my knowledge with you. And I want to give you a very good cooperation. I was been wondering, like, from the morning 9:30 we are handling the session, and I just give a word of appreciation to the participants who have kept quiet and just ask the queries and everything. That was like a very good thing actually. And moreover, like, I want to thank the management of KSIT who have, and the Department of IT who have taken this kind of an effort at this pandemic time. We are just sharing our knowledge with you guys so that we can bring the nation up. Okay, so this is my thing. Everything you can share with me, whatever the things. Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you and best wishes for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
so
sir.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, participants, we shall wind up this session today. I will send you the details of session tomorrow in our WhatsApp group. Thank you all. Thank you.